Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 360 podcast. We are back again. Welcome to the month of May. We hope that you are starting this month off on a happy note, on a glad note. And so, if you are breathing, that's all the more reason to be glad that you made it to another month. Again, we want to welcome you. We are Catalyst 360, helping you to move beyond basic. And last month, we launched the 360 podcast. And so we want to say thank you for those who joined us at episode 1. We are back again for episode 2. I am your host, Dr. Gena Crawford, along with my co host, Dr. Darrius. And before we get started, can you guys just help me wish him? His birthday was last week, y'all. Can you help me wish him a happy birthday on this new chapter of life? I'm so excited to see
Thank
all the things
you.
that God has in store for him. And so again, it is my pleasure to be able to be in this space with the Dr. Darrius Jeter. And so again, we want to say thank you for joining us this morning. We are the place where we talk about business, we talk about ministry in the marketplace. And again, we like to say that we are the people, don't have all the answers, but we can help you move beyond basic. And so again, I want to say thank you to those who listened to us, who chimed in on last month. We appreciate your shares, we appreciate your likes, we appreciate your subscriptions. If you go ahead and go over to YouTube and subscribe, and we're going to share with you a little bit later all of the platforms that we are on so that you can take a listen. We are excited about episode 2. Episode 2, I think it's going to be very valuable. So before we jump into the first part of our segment for today, I want to turn it over to my co-host so he can greet you all this morning as well.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome again to the 360 podcast. We are glad you're here. As you said, I'm Dr. Darrius Jeter, along with Dr. Gena Crawford, and we want to make sure that we are helping you achieve the business goals that you have. This is about being able to reflect your faith in your business, make business decisions based off of the faith and the values that you have. That don't mean that you have to water anything down. It means you're going to enhance some things. So we look forward to helping you address some problems, maybe see some things from a different perspective,
Yeah.
expose you to new ideas, new ways of doing things, and also to put ourselves out there as a resource and a service to help you take that next step that you may be uncomfortable taking by yourself. So I look forward to seeing how this conversation goes today. I'm so excited to have you here on the 360, and let's get into it.
All right, y'all. So everybody knows it's no secret what's happening to the economy, and not just the economy in the United States of America, but the economy around the world. And so we can't say, we can't pretend like it's not happening. We can't pretend that it's not an area of concern for us. And again, we're not saying that you have to worry about it, or we encourage you to worry about it. But yes, be aware and be concerned, especially if you are a business owner, especially if you are in ministry. These are areas that you really need to pay attention to. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't watch the news because it's scary. I don't watch the news. And we want to encourage you to watch, to be informed, so that you can make informed and good decisions. And so one of the areas that we want to hop into today and talk about today is there's no secret that there have been a lot of people who have downsized their companies, a lot of people who have lost their jobs. And so I was on a prayer call last night, and as a part of the prayer call, the prayer leader was saying, what if everything that's happening now is to push Christians into doing all the things that they already know how to do? What if what's happening now is to push Christians into being able to tap into what's already inside of them and to create their own business, to start their own businesses? And so that's something that we want to talk about on today. A lot of people, raise your hand if you have a hobby. You have a hobby, just something that you just love to do. something that you just like to do. And so that very well may be the thing for you. So it's our first segment of our time together. We want to talk about from hobbies to hope, from hobbies to hope, from hobbies to hope. And so sometimes we are so good at things. People tell you, oh, you're good at this, you should do this. um I know a couple of people, when I tell you, they are really good at like interior decorating and things like that. And so when you mention, hey, have you ever thought about turning this into a business? Oh, well, no, that's really not. But what if that's the thing for you? What if that's the thing? What if that's the way that God is saying, hey, I want to create multiple streams of income for you? So we're talking about from hobbies to hope. So we want to encourage those, especially those who may have, you may have gotten that pink slip. And your thing is, what do I do now? What do you do now? Sit and reflect on all the things that you already do. The things that you already do. Some of you, y'all make some good cakes. I mean, and pies, sweet potato pies at that. Some of you, a plug. Some of you know how to fix cars. Some of you know how to do interior decorating. Some of you know how to write. So there's so many things that's already inside of you. And so if you're concerned about what to do next, if you're concerned about where am I going to get money from, stop and take a look at what you're already good at doing. Stop and take a look. Some of you are good at speaking. Some of you are good at organizing. So stop and take a look at what you are good at doing. And so now here's the thing, though. There's a difference between a hobby and a business. So if you're talking about your hobby, you're talking about the thing that you would do, even if you didn't get paid for it. Even if you didn't get paid for it. Apostle, is there anything that you would do? Like you would just do it, even if you didn't get paid for it. What's one of your hobbies? One of, because I'm sure you have a whole lot of.
Well, I like watching movies. I'm not sure if that era of being a movie critic is still available. I know people do throw their 2 cents out about what's worth watching and what's not, but I know some of us older people can remember back in the day, the old Siskel and Ebert. They used to watch the movies and tell
Mhm,
you their opinions.
mhm.
Well, maybe that, I don't know if that's still something available to do today, but that's an example of something that you do for enjoyment that you could possibly get paid for.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Dr. Crawford. Do you think there's a, because you're talking about your hobby and
Mhm.
then you transition into a business. Do you think that there's a mindset that has to change when something transitions from a hobby into a business?
There definitely has to be a mind shift. First of all, you have to think that what you do is valuable. You have to think about what you do. What it is, if yeah, I kind of do it, but I don't know if it's valuable to other people. When
Right.
you were talking about, sharing you. Wait a minute. He said some of us old people. Who is he talking to? Okay. Anyway, so and when you talk about, like, being a movie critic, now we have to kind of shift our mindset into, yes, there was like the Siegel and it's what's his name?
Ebert,
Siegel and Ebert.
Ebert, yeah,
I remember watching them. Like it was
yeah,
like you would sit down and really focus on what they were saying. And
yeah,
these are just their opinions. And
yeah.
so even though we may not be sitting down and like in front of a TV just to really talk about, I believe this movie, that movie, but even shifting into the mindset of how do I bring my sometimes archaic ideas into the present moment. And so when you're talking about being a movie critic, now you may do a blog about movies.
Right, right.
You know,
Transitioning to a new era, yeah,
and
of how to
yes,
do it.
so
Yeah.
there definitely has to be a mind shift. Because again, one thing that I've learned is if you don't believe in what you do, if you don't believe that what you do carries value, it carries weight, it's going to be hard to kind of put it out there in front of other people. But there definitely has to be a mind shift. You have to shift your mind into saying, well, I'm not sure because there's so many people doing the same things that I'm doing. Who would want to pay me for it? You don't know. You don't
Right,
know. You won't know unless you put it out there.
right.
One other thing I want to say is, Make sure that you surround yourself with people who can encourage you, because oftentimes we don't see all that we have. We don't see all of our potential. This is why Catalyst is here.
Right.
We don't see all of our potential, but you surround yourself with people who see and can pull out all of the potential that you have. So yes, there definitely has to be a mind shift.
Now, a lot of people, like you say, you're baking pies, you're baking cakes, you're cooking, especially when the holidays come around. And
Hmm.
sometimes you have, like you say, you have people who are good at fixing cars, and they're like, "Well, you bring it around here, I'll fix it for you." And true enough, that's how they're supplementing their income with those
Yes,
things. But are people sometimes afraid to label something that they're doing a business, even if it's if they're acting like it's one? Is there is you know what I'm saying?
definitely. I mean, because
Yeah.
business is scary.
Right.
Business is scary, especially if you are a person where you're not understanding all of the business lingo.
Okay.
You don't know. Here are three letters that most people who operate a business are afraid of. IRS.
Yes. So then, with that being said, is tracking money and filing taxes, is that the official line between hobby and business? Let's see, if I'm not if as long as I'm calling it a hobby and I'm not having to fill out taxes and do all that stuff, I don't I can keep calling it a hobby. But once I cross that line, is that the line that it officially becomes the business?
That is the line. That is the line because when you're talking about a business, it operates with the expectation that you're going to make a profit. And even though somebody may, how you do something kind of like we call it your side hustle, your grind or
Right.
whatever, and somebody may slip you a couple of dollars here and
Yeah.
there, and sometimes it's like, okay, I'll take the slip of a couple of dollars, but to really put it out there, it is scary. It can be scary because now you're talking about going to a whole nother level set where, is somebody going to come after me? Suppose I already have the idea that somebody has already, copyrighted. So there's so many things. And um, this is again why you seek wise counsel. This is why you go to people to say, hey, I'm considering turning my hobby into something else. And sometimes just the word business can be scary
Right.
because we think business, we think failure.
Right.
We think
Right.
business, we think, how am I going to manage it? We think business, we think hustle and bustle, and it's going to take away from my life. And so when you talk about business, when you're talking just like your hobby, you are the person who you have the autonomy to do what you need to do. And
Right.
so when you talk about business, it's the same way. You have the autonomy to do the things that you need to do. And there are people to help you. Case
Right.
in point, Catalyst
Right.
360.
There we
And so
go.
there are people who can help you. So, and we help take the fear out of business. That was
Okay.
good. We help take
Yeah.
the fear out of it.
Yeah. So I think fear is one of the reasons many people
Hmm.
resist calling the work they do or their hobby a business when it
Hmm.
actually has become one. All
Yeah.
right, that's good. That's good. So, like Dr. Crawford said, what now? You've gotten that pink slip, or you're making this money from your side hustle or your hobby, or that transition time is coming for you where
Hmm.
you need to make a
Hmm.
pivot and do something different for yourself, and you say, I'm going to go full-fledged into this. Well, what now? So that what now is one of the things that we as catalysts can help you do, because one of the first things you have to consider in that what now is you got to consider the cost.
Yeah.
you know I'm I do it as a hobby now, so I may take some spare money to buy the things I need to do the things I need as a hobby. But now that I'm going to transition this into my income,
Hmm.
how much am I willing to invest to do this thing on the next level? So you have to have that conversation with yourself. You have to have that conversation with your family,
Yes.
and you may need to bring in some outside help to help you see things from a different perspective and help you embrace the reality of the cost that you're about to embark upon, the situation that you're about to step into. So as we transition now into this next segment, the thing I want to begin talking to us about is the difference between the hobby and the business. What's this? What's the pros and the cons of me turning my hobby into a business. And so I think one of the things, that's always been said is that if you turn your passion into your work, or if you work in your passion, you'll never work a day in your life because you'll
Yeah.
always enjoy it. Well, that there is some truth to that. You will enjoy doing something that you genuinely love, and the work will feel less like a chore. So you'll get up every morning and you'll have your
Hmm.
why. And one of those whys would be, I really enjoy what I'm doing. and
Yes.
and and that's an intrinsic motivator, because now you're not motivated by money, you're motivated by the passion of what you're doing. And that's key. That's key, because when we become motivated by the passion of what we do, that inspires our creativity. The,
Hmm.
that inspires the level of customer service that we can offer, because you
Definitely.
know the value of what you bring, and you want to bring everybody, because what that hobby becomes your world. It's your world. It's your thing.
Hmm.
It's your place, and you want to invite everybody into that world of yours, that space of yours. So you kind of do different. You kind of do things differently to inspire people to come into that world, come into that space of yours. So you begin monetizing the skills that you already have.
Hmm.
You didn't have to go out and get a degree in something. You didn't have to go take a course or get a license. It's something that you are already doing, something that you're already passionate about, something that you probably spent years honing and perfecting your craft in, and now you're monetizing it. Those are some of the pros of turning your hobby into an actual business. But we do have to have a reality check. And this is where catalysts can come in to offer that different perspective, and also to get you over the hump of some of those cons. Because
Yeah.
what is a con? What is one of the cons that you're going to have when you turn your hobby into a business? Well, one of the first cons that you may begin to experience is the loss of the joy in doing it.
Yes.
Because once money enters the picture,
Hmm.
and business structure, and all of the behind the scenes work that goes into making a business and not just a hobby, because the hobby has to become profitable to be a business, that can take some of the fun out of it. When you start dealing with deadlines, and you're doing it for customers and their demands rather than for your enjoyment, that can take some of the joy out of it. But if we can come alongside you and show you how to structure this thing where you can still enjoy, have the joys of it, and kind of develop a structure where somebody else can kind of take the brunt of the demands from you, then you can
Hmm.
still have the business and the hobby portion of it. But it has to be done the right way to make sure that you can enjoy it, but you can also still profit from it, and it can still operate as a business. I would say another con would be, just as your passion motivates you to get out of the bed, and it can inspire your creativity. Once you start receiving demands from other people, it can burn out your creativity,
Yeah.
because you're no longer doing it for your enjoyment. You're doing it for the enjoyment of somebody else now. And
Hmm.
what's enjoyable to you may not be enjoyable to me.
Other people. Yeah.
Yeah. So that creative burnout is a possibility. So we have to look at all these different things.
Hmm.
Some business skills may be required. You may need to learn some basic accounting or learn how to bring somebody in, but you got to be able to understand your own business documents, your own business books, so that this thing can be profitable. So the pressure to perform, whereas
Yeah.
I would normally just get up and say, hey, I'm just gonna tinkle with this for a little bit, I'm gonna just enjoy this for a bit, and then once I'm burnt out with it, I'm just gonna set it down and go do something else. Well, now I'm on a deadline, somebody else is expecting something, so now I got to produce up to their expectation and not just to my level of enjoyment. So those are different pros and cons that we have to look at when we start thinking about transitioning our hobby
Into
into
a
an
business.
actual business.
Mhm.
Is that something, is losing that hobby and the enjoyment of that hobby worth the risk? Or is that hobby, is the potential for it to be profitable enough where you're willing to risk the enjoyment of it, to say, hey, this could generate, income for my family for generations to come. You have to have that discussion with yourself, with your family, and bring in different perspectives so you can understand the balance that you're trying to create, and also just see a different perspective to see how this thing can
Mhm.
work. So those are some of the things that we wanted to kind of throw out at you this morning, because you may be sitting on a potential gold mine right in your own
Yes.
home, right
Yeah.
on your own skills, and you just may be sitting on it, and it's something that can take you from the 9 to 5 from somebody else, and put that money in your own pocket. So
Mhm.
explore your hobby and see if it's something you want to transition into a business today.
I think that's all of those are good points. Like literally, you have to ask yourself, and this is a question for just a rhetorical question for those who are watching. Like, what are people saying that you are really good at doing? Because
Yes.
sometimes you don't even know what you're good at doing.
Right.
Just take a moment and take some time just to kind of reflect on conversations that you've had with people who are saying, "Hey, you're really good at," and you fill in the blank, but you never really saw it as I'm good at that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? I guess I am. Like, what do people come to you a lot and say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Or "Can you help me with that?" And so then here's the thing I do want to press in on just because you're good at doing it. Now, we're not saying that you have to turn it into a business.
Right.
Just because you're good at doing it, it does not necessarily mean that that's a reason for you to turn into a business. So again, these are just options, and oftentimes as Dr. Jeter said, it's like, okay, we're sitting and we're constantly looking for doors to open, and sometimes the open door is right at your house.
Right. Right.
Sometimes you are literally looking at your own open door.
Right.
And so, that's not something to negate. Yes, there very well may be somebody who's doing exactly the same thing that you're doing it, but they're not doing it like you.
Right.
And they can't do it for everybody.
Right. Right.
You think about a lot of businesses that started as hobbies. You have a lot of businesses that said, hey, even though there's somebody selling chicken, you know what? They don't put as much pepper on their chicken as we put on ours. And so it may have gone from Big Mama's Kitchen to a chain. And so,
Right.
again, don't ever shy away from, and that's something, especially when you're talking about, marketplace ministry, that's something that a lot of people that I notice when we're talking about Christians in business, a lot of us will shy away from, what we're good at doing, because we don't
Right.
want to feel like we are kind of, well, God, if I get paid for it, am I dishonoring you? Am I, and literally he's like, why do you think I put it inside of you?
Right.
Why do you think I put that idea in? And here's the thing, y'all. Why do you think it keeps coming up?
Right.
It keeps coming up for a reason.
Right. And let's be real with this thing. If you're working, we all look at our communities, we all look at our society, and we see the different problems and different situations, the different things that plague our communities.
Mm-hmm.
We see all the things that we think could be better. But when we have our 9 to 5 job and we look at the politicians and the decision makers, who are they going to listen to? Are they going to listen to me? Or are they going to listen to the corporate CEO? So when Dr. Crawford says, when people say, what are people saying about what you do? You have certain gifts for a reason. Why? The Bible says your gift will make room for you. But not only that, it said, and bring you before great men. When we use our gifts and God makes room for us and bring for great men, that's how we get a seat at the table with decision makers to have a voice of influence. Because you can go to business school and you can hear all about corporate responsibility, having a voice. Uh, the corporations have a voice about how the communities operate. Well, when we as believers use our gifts to get in those rooms, now we have a voice to take territory for the kingdom and expand the kingdom of God in the world, saying
Mm-hmm.
how things should be run in our communities. So that's why God gave you your gift. You don't have to monetize it as a business, but you can use your gift as a way to get into those rooms and have a voice. So don't sit on the gift. Use it and let God give you wisdom in how to transition it from a hobby to a business, or how to use it as a hobby, as a place of influence to still put you in a position to work with business leaders, so you can still have a voice of how things can happen and shape out in our community. So don't take that for granted.
Right. And the other thing I was thinking about as you were saying that as well, it's like, um, oftentimes we don't realize that God will gift us with something to help employ other people.
Right.
And so we have to look at it, that's a form of ministry. It's,
Right.
well, God, you gave me this gift, this hobby I can turn into a business, or you're causing me or allow me to turn into a business. It's not just about you.
Right.
It's not just about, it's for the people who are assigned to you. It's for the people who are connected to you. It's for the people to see how business is actually supposed to go. And again, just think about all the people that you can minister to, just through your business, just through your yes.
Right.
Just through your yes. Yes, I'll. And again, it may not be for everybody, but for now, I am going to say there are those who are watching. There are those who may watch the replay or listen to the replay, and this thing has been tugging at you for quite some time. It has been tugging and pulling on you. And I just believe that, God is saying, hey, if you're hearing it again, if you keep hearing the same messages over and over and over again, now is the time. Now is the time. There are so many people who are waiting for what you have and waiting to see how this thing is supposed to go. And so it's not just about you making dollars, it really is about you making disciples. You better go.
Because
That right there.
that right there, that right there. It's
Whoa.
not about dollars. It's about
Okay,
disciples.
calm down, G. Calm down. It's not about you. It's not just about the dollars. It's
Yes.
about discipleship.
Right. So, because when we talk about Catalyst being about marketplace ministry, going beyond basic, we have to get out of this mindset that ministry is just about going to church on Sunday.
Yes.
We have to understand that ministry is about going into every avenue of our society to spread the gospel, to be a reflection of Christ. So some of you are saying, I feel like God is calling me to do something. I just don't know what, because, I know I'm supposed to do this business, but if I'm supposed to do this business, how am I supposed to serve God? Well, that's one and the same. God didn't give you a business idea and skills and gifts to operate that business and do that business to disregard him. He gave it to you to open doors for you to go into places and spaces that the church can't go into as an institution and still be that voice. So we got to get out of that mindset that it's just about Sunday morning. It's about Monday through Monday, Sunday through Sunday. It's about every 7 days of the week being in position to spread the kingdom. And we can do that through business. So Catalyst is here to help. Let us give us an opportunity to help change your perspective, to guide you, to show you different things, to help you, to give you counsel. Whatever, we stand ready to help you how to integrate your faith with your business. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. I think this is a very valuable and on time conversation.
Yes.
That needs to be held. Again, sometimes people have been thinking about it, but again, the fear of it. The fear of it. I don't know all the logistics. I don't know all what to do. And so again, it's not that you have to do. We can't reiterate enough. You don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do this alone. There are people, we are the people, there are people out there to help you do this. But it's for some of you, it's time. It's time. It is time. And so, I think this is actually an ongoing conversation.
Yes.
And so, again, if you feel the need to reach out to us, if you feel the need to say, hey, even if it's a time shared with us, to ask questions, should I to elaborate on the questions that you have, write down those questions. Right, if you have questions, write them down. Seek answers. Nobody knows everything, and so just because you feel like you don't have the answers, it doesn't mean that the answers are not out there. And so again, we wanted to drop in and share this with you all on today, because truth be told, a lot of you have been thinking about some things.
Yes. And it's time to make a move,
Mhm.
because that's only going to intensify in your spirit. So it's time to
Yeah.
burst that thing on out. So listen, we want to thank you all for joining us today on the 360 podcast. For more information about Catalyst Consulting, go to our website, catalyst360consulting.com. Also, subscribe to our YouTube page. That's Catalyst 360. Go to our Facebook page, Catalyst Purpose. If you want to share this podcast with somebody else and you want to listen to it again, listen to it on your favorite podcasting platform, whether that's Apple, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcasting platform is. The 360 is there. We want to see you there. So subscribe to it. We look forward to engaging with you all. Dr. Crawford, you want to close us out with any final remarks?
I just want to again thank you guys for joining us. We are excited. We have so much to share with you. We ask that you continue to tune in, share this with somebody. And again, we can't share enough. We genuinely do care about all that you care about. And so if you need us, we are here. We got a little bit of credentials here and there going on. And so and again, the thing about I love about the two of us is we're not telling you things that we have not experienced.
Right.
And so it's one thing to tell you, but it's another thing to experience. And so we are here to help you move beyond basic.
See you next time. Have a blessed day.